Now to my one-on-one with former National Security Advisor and Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. She has plenty to say about working under President George W. Bush in her new book, No Higher Honor. We began by talking about one of the men who has been critical of her since leaving office, former Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld, and whether they have spoken since.
I've talked to Don. I haven't talked to the Vice President. But look, as I said, we had strong disagreements. I don't think they were ever personal. They were strong personalities.
And those strong personalities have been taking their shots at Condoleezza Rice since leaving office. This was Donald Rumsfeld's less than complimentary assessment of her work.
She'd never served in a senior administration position. She'd been an academic, and a lot of academics like to have meetings.
And the strong personalities, one in particular, Donald Rumsfeld, you helped bring him into the president's inner circle. Do you regret doing that?
Oh, no. I think Don did a fine job in many ways. He was a very good Secretary of Defense. And Don and I had been friends for years, and we remain friends. But, he's a little bit of a grumpy guy, and so there were times when we clashed.
Condoleezza Rice also writes about her multiple disagreements with Vice President Cheney, which at times got very heated. Here's what he had to say when asked if she was a competent Secretary of State.
In some regards.
He didn't like the turn toward diplomacy in the second term. He has made that very clear. And that was his, he gave the president his advice. And when the president didn't accept that advice, I think sometimes he was disappointed.
Yet one decision they were all unanimous on, the decision to go to war with Iraq, is one she still stands by.
And there are some who say today that had we not taken our eye off Afghanistan and shifted focus to Iraq, that we would have succeeded in Afghanistan. We wouldn't be there today. What do you have to say to those
Afghanistan was always going to be a hard place. It's the fifth poorest country in the world. It is deeply tribal, and I think the Middle East is today better for his demise.
And though she wouldn't comment on possible GOP contenders, she did comment on the unrest here at home. Specifically the Occupy Wall Street movement.
Well, protests come with the territory in democracies. This country started in protests, by the way, and whether it's people who want to go to the streets or people who I would hope would take the route of doing this through our democratic institutions. After all, we do have the right, if we don't like our leadership, to change it.
After reports of sexism in a recent book on the Obama administration, I asked Dr. Rice if that was something she had encountered during her time in Washington.
When you're National Security Advisor, you're Secretary of State, if you're allowing somebody to treat you badly because you're a woman, it's your problem, not theirs. Women, we have to be careful not to infantilize ourselves and to somehow not be unable to stand up for ourselves.
Do you feel that you had to sacrifice some personal life, in essence, to get where you did?
Well, when you're Secretary of State, I don't care if you're married with 10 kids, you sacrifice your personal life. But I have a very full life. I have great friends. I have a wonderful family. I love my music. My view is that I didn't fail to get married yet because I somehow made sacrifices. I simply never really met anyone I wanted to live with. And maybe I still will, but I have had a full and wonderful life, and God willing, it has a ways to go still.